Life isn't about adding more to your plate. It's about peeling away the layers of what's keeping you stuck and the transformative power of self-reflection with Mike SantoLiquido. I have my good friend today joining us on the stage, Michael SantoLiquido, a visionary with nearly 4 decades in the sign industry. What's up, my friend?
How are you, buddy?
You're amazing. How are you, brother?
Good to see you.
Man, always a pleasure, my friend. I cannot wait, having a great conversation with you here today. For some of you guys that don't know, Mike, he's a visionary leader with nearly 4 decades of experience in the sign industry and the presidents of Send Signs and Awnings. Beyond his business success, Mike is a deep thinker and transformative advocate, passionate about proximity, presence, and living a life of intentionality. We often have great conversations offline. And I say, Mike, one of these days, we got to have a talk and, have a real talk as we were having over here prior, to the episode. But my friend, I know that you started your career and incredibly very successful in the sign industry. But life has been about so much more than business for you. Can you share with us and the listeners, a lot of CEOs out there, they are struggling, they are going through some crazy times, some of those defining moments that has shaped you as a leader and as a deep thinker?
Well, Carlos, I think one of those things is actually what brought us together, and that's Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
I attended Business Mastery back in 2017 in Palm Beach, Florida, to grow my business from $3 million to $10 million. I was already in business for approximately 25 years at that time, and little did I realize that I didn't need to grow my business, that I needed to change and grow myself.
Yeah.
And ever since then, it's been a constant awakening. It's like an onion. You constantly peel off another layer and something else comes about. Multiple Tony Robbins events since then. I even took it to the fullest extent of journeying with Mother Aya and taking ayahuasca. All to grow and constantly expand my horizons. And I will not lie, to heal the wounds of society, of my ancestors, my family, traumas that have been passed down from generation to generation, things that we unconsciously do that you ultimately become aware of, that you can change and transform that so you don't pass that on to your children. And that ultimately was the biggest goal for me, was to make sure my children were well adjusted, that they were ready for this world that we live in that is extremely chaotic, that they were comfortable in their own skin, that they were free to make their own decisions and their own choices in life. I think, unfortunately, a lot of us are pushed into a box and we're expected to act a certain way and do a certain thing. And unfortunately, that doesn't allow someone to live their authentic life. I got blessed. I was able to go ahead and make it a success. But, since my awakening, as I call it, I kind of think that I've lived somewhat of a lie for a lot of my life, building this business and this empire with several pieces of real estate. Sometimes I look back and say, for what and for whom? And Tony Robbins has taught me to go ahead and enjoy the fruits of our labor. And I think you and I talk about that a lot. And, our Facebook is shared with Yankee games and sporting events and travel here and family events there. And that's what really matters. So taking your business from 3 million to 10 million doesn't matter. How much money do you need?
That's so true, my friend. That's so true. You know what I often say, Mike, that it's funny how you're in the sign business, and the greatest signs in life, they aren't made, they are felt. And as you mentioned here, brother, a lot of people are living like that. Like they act like they are feeling good, But you and I know deep inside, a lot of people out there, they are broken. They are not truly living, being present, living their authentic, self. And, it's such a great topic that for the people that listen to you and I here throughout the show, I think there's going to be a lot of self-reflection that I empower everybody to really go journal out, go like literally take a breather to really, all right, you made it. You and I, we build multi-million-dollar businesses. You and I know that's not what's bringing us happiness, right? Is you out there on the stadiums with your kids, right? Watching sports, me with my daughter out there on the soccer stadiums, you with your kids at football, at baseball, and jumping those cliffs.
Life has gotten very simple. I mean, it's even just being outside, or it's meditating, or it's gardening, and it's the things being in nature. It's my dogs. It's the reciprocating love that you get, and respect and admiration that you get. And I think it comes to cutting out not only toxic people, but it's, what you eat, what you consume, the news, right? If you want to feel good, you hang around with people that feel good and healthy people. You have to associate with them. Yeah. Or as Tony Robbins always said, to model after someone. Find someone that you admire and replicate what they do. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And that's big in my industry. We talk about first impressions and the ability to convey the brand's image, whether it's the wall behind me and my logos behind me, or your truck graphic, or your sign. We're speaking to people, and that's my enjoyment that I've been lucky to have. I'm a very creative person, so being able to create your vision and having it come to life, that's my fulfillment. And if I could make you successful, then even better. And if I get to be creative in the process, then it's a home run.
Yeah, no, man, I love that. But I was going to ask you a question over here about proximity, and it's funny we're talking about this. But to all my creators out there, we have a lot of creators that follow our show. Shout out to LinkedIn. We are getting 300,000 impressions on a weekly basis on our posts there. Shout out to all the listeners of the show. A few thousand downloads per episode. Without you guys, we couldn't do this show, man. As you guys know, the show is totally free. The way how we grow is by you guys liking, listening on Apple, on iHeartRadio, on Spotify, dropping the 5-star review, leaving that comment, tagging somebody that needs to listen to this. You guys are in the New York area, in the East Coast. Michael is the master of the signs and bringing your signs to life, taking your brand to another level. But Mike, we were talking about proximity. I talk about this all the time, right? You hang around the barber shop, you're going to get a haircut. Somebody's stolen that one from the Bible. Our good friend Tony Robbins talks about proximity quite a bit in some of his quotes and books. But we often say, you are the sum of the 5 people closest to you, right? I always tell people, who's the last 5 that text you, that called you? You and I, we always text on each other. We always talking about all kinds of cool stuff, family, investing, what is next in the future. But how has proximity, Mike, shaped your life and your business? Let's go a little bit deeper into that.
Well, I think it's made my business. I think we've constantly stuck to a higher clientele, which expected a higher quality and a better service. We were able to charge more, and then ultimately we spread from them to their sister company or their neighbor or another school. And it was on the same caliber, because people that visit their campus or their place are like, who made that for you? Everything is so consistent, because branding is important and color is important, especially as you're walking through a campus or you want the most visual impact. I mean, I drive around sometimes and I look at corporate brands that make mistakes that is with the color they choose on their signage. Yeah. And it dumbfounds me that they don't do a light study or someone didn't make a prototype for them to go ahead and view it, what it's going to look like at night. So there's a lot of factors in regards to how that process can work. And getting back to something which you had said, with today's technology, Carlos, we can consult all around the world.
Yep.
So if someone's got a digital camera and a phone, and you and I, like we're on right now, but we're mobile, and you go outside and you want to talk about your storefront and you've emailed me some branding and I've got your address, we're capable to do a code check, because you can't just put a sign on a building. You've got to get permits. So over the years, we've built a great network around the country if we need feet on the ground. But 95% of the consultation could be done right here. As a matter of fact, we consulted for the Bank of New York Mellon in their rebranding campaign about 10 years ago. And we did 1,600 locations around the world.
No, congrats, man. It's so powerful, Mike. You made me think about, like, it's so cool how we evolve now. And it's the little things, like you and I talk a lot about this because we talk so much about branding. You in the sign industry for so long, one of the leaders in that space. I've been talking a lot about like stage presence and online presence, and people, they don't think, like, even our banners, right, on LinkedIn, on social media, that's our real estate. That's a sign. And being able to capitalize on there, understanding the colors of your brand, understanding the word patterns that you are using on that signage. Are those words is speaking to the subconscious mind of your ideal avatar that can only say yes messages and is often an unconscious pattern? Or are they stuck at the conscious mind, another sign, another banner, which the conscious mind say yes, no, maybe? You don't want to be stuck in there. You want to be able to talk to professionals like yourself, like myself. All right, let's go ahead and do a whole audit, audience segmentation, really understand that the real estate, like you say, you need a permit, at certain locations. You're in New York, I'm in California, Bay Area. We need permits for everything.
Exactly.
Very strict, you know what I mean? So it's such a powerful topic, brother. But
you touched on it with segmentation, is that you really need to know who your target audience is and your target market is. And I was always taught if you want to become a millionaire, or if you want to be successful, that you need to hang out with millionaires, or you need to hang out with successful people. And then you actually grow. And having people that are around you that are willing to help you, because everybody is willing to help you, Carlos. If I get slow in business, still to this day, I'm in business 33 years. Still to this day, I'll write an email, a personal email to my top 20 customers and say, hey, we're a little slow right now. We talked about project X, Y, and Z earlier in the year. Do you think we could fast track that so we could push it into production? And you'd be surprised on how many people want to help you, not only that way, but asking for advice. And, that's part of the thing that I think we're all about is giving back. And if people are willing to ask for advice, that I would certainly give it to them for free.
Yeah. No, it's so true, Mike. And people, they're afraid, right? They're afraid about what is it people going to think about us, or all this ego thing. And you and I know, man, you and I, we like Jim Rohn. We are eternal students. As much as we are out there helping people, we learn just as much from our students. And that we're never going to change, right? It's something that, we text each other, if we know something, I don't know if you know something, and we'd be happy to trade and share that data.
You said it, it's the ego. And unless you experience an ego death of some sort, for some reason, some life-changing event, or, an awakening through other means, it's difficult because society has conditioned us otherwise.
Yeah.
And if we were all more, because I'm willing to help, you're willing to help, and I know probably all of your listeners are willing to help, but how do you put those like-minded people together, Carlos? And I think it's things like this, and it's putting ourselves out there. And still, when you put yourself out there and you give, Carlos, as we've touched on before, it's not reciprocated, and that's okay, but we don't want people to go ahead and take advantage of our generosity. Yeah. As well. So when opportunities present themselves within the circle, you expect reciprocity. And that's why your circle ends up getting bigger, and then it ends up getting smaller. And then you stick with loyalty, and you grow that way. Because sometimes masses isn't always better, depending on what industry you're in.
Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And you and I, I love sharing advice with my friends and inner circles, things that I've been talking about. Like for the people that have been listening, some of you guys have been listening to me. When I remember back in the day, in 2017 on the show, when we are talking about on YouTube, I say, guys, go buy XRP, 0.006 cents. Go buy Ethereum, it's $99.
Well,
and what I always used to say, Mike, I'm not a financial advisor.
I always went ahead. I always paid attention, but I didn't get into XRP until it was 39 cents.
Yeah, I know. I remember us having a conversation. Mike, it's cheap. You don't have enough. Go get some.
I ended up putting all my family into it as well.
I'm glad you did, brother.
Various levels.
I know you're going to do great with all that money that you're going to be making, man. But you see, guys, this is not a financial advice. It's the trend is your friend. I've been studying and teaching wealth for so long, and you watching, right? We are, for the first time in history, we got ourselves into something before the institutions, right? Think about it. If everything goes well, in God's name, not a financial advice, but imagine if all the institutions start adapting and choosing Ripple and XRP as the next Swift.
Well, listen, but the institutions have already adopted it. Just look at what BlackRock has done. And listen, I was on the phone yesterday with my banker, and I told her to move some money out. And she asked me why, and I told her why. And it was to buy XRP and Ethereum and Solana. And she goes, well, you fit the criteria in Merrill to buy IBIT. So, I was like, so she was trying to keep my money in the system. And here I am trying to pull it out of the matrix.
It's crazy, man, because they know, and the crazy part, they want to keep our money in the system. For you guys, they are new into this blockchain industry, is because they're going to take the money, every money that we have in the bank, and they go and they redirect that money towards the next things, the next technologies. And right now, I know, Mike, is a shift in wealth for the first time in the millennia. Things are shifting.
The fees too that you got to consider is every year they're taking at a minimum 0.5%, at a maximum, it's 2%. Probably the norm is 1%. So if you've got $1 million, every year you're paying them 10 grand just to hold your money, to hold your coin.
Hey, Mike, I did a crazy post yesterday on Twitter, and I told people, guys, just to give you guys a little perspective about, do you guys know that in the Forex industry, it's trillions of dollars are moving money every day. And, we are totally exchanged. When we need to travel, I'm over here in Silicon Valley. When I go to Brazil, right, we got to change dollars to reais, reais to dollar, euro to dollars, and whatever. So imagine if you have XRP being the medium of exchange in between currencies, which fees are so high. Imagine if XRP is the chosen one. Just imagine for a second. Now you have XRP. Give it a so today, or December 13, 130, $140 billion in market cap. Forex alone has trillions of dollars every single day that are being exchanged. Imagine adding that liquidity to the I'm just saying, imagine. We're talking about 100x from what we are now. Again, not a financial advice. We're just playing the imaginary game. The same way how I did it back in 2017 when I've been teaching about finance, insurance, blockchain for a very long time. So, but then it's an interesting space. Highly recommend you guys learning more, getting deeper. But and even before I go to the next question, just back at proximity and signs, right? Ourselves and our brand and the signs that we put out there, your energy, ladies and gentlemen, it introduces you before you speak. So you have to choose your circle wisely. Just wanted to leave you guys with this point about what we were talking earlier. I know that we're going to different places over here, as I figure Mike and I are going to have a really cool talk about different topics. But you mentioned, through some of our conversations, leaving S3 tomorrow isn't guaranteed. You and I talk a lot about those things. and that makes us better fathers, better leaders. Like us, we play full out when we are with our kids, our spouses, our employees. How do you balance my urgency with being present?
I still struggle with it, to be quite honest with you. I definitely prioritize my family first, so it makes life easy, and I come first. Whereas years past, I didn't. So my health, whether it's my meditation or my morning routine, which could be an hour or an hour and a half of various exercises, supplements. I even bring my band exercise here to the office, because if sometimes I want to go ahead and get my adrenaline going and get into the zone, I don't jump on a trampoline like our boy Tony, but I do a little X3 and get a little pump, do some squats or something.
I got my trampoline over here.
Listen, I think we're guilty by association, Carlos, because you're if you're hanging out with those successful people, you're assumed to be successful. And if you're in those circles and you put yourselves in those events, so we speak of proximity as power. I tell people all the time, get the fuck out there. Get out there. When's the last time you were at a networking event? Pick and choose the proper ones. They're all not right. There's ones that are usually the better ones are the ones that you need to pay for. But there are ones that are free and you can get your way through, and you can go to political functions. Politics has been a great way for me to get myself into with developers.
Yeah.
Because developers have an ulterior motive to why they're in that political realm, but we happen to make signs. So when we make signs for that politician, I would put myself at those events, and then I would do a lot of handshaking back in the day, and I would meet those people and we would become friends. And it didn't matter what side of the aisle we were on either, because we both had the same intention. There was to make money. That guy was a developer and he didn't care whether he was a Republican or a Democrat. And he was buying signs from me. I didn't care whether they were a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, it's capitalism at its finest.
Yeah.
So there's opportunity, and I think people are they don't see it. Everybody wants to pay attention to what's wrong as opposed to what's right. So if you change that one little focus pattern in your eyes or in your brain, let me look at what's right, and you change the channel, it's amazing. There's so many better things in this world than the negative.
Yeah.
But we dwell on the negative.
Yeah. You made me think about something, Mike. When I was young, 18, 19 years old, and I first came to US, I always I want to become a multimillionaire. And I figured for me to become a multimillionaire, I need to help others make millions, if not billions, right? I needed to upgrade my thinking. One of the great things, my good friend, Tony Shea, the founder of Zappos, he passed away, unfortunately, very young, on his early 40s. But Tony, the reason why he built Zappos, such a big company, is because he always empower, and he always talk about. I remember hanging out in Vegas as his compound with the llamas and the camels outside. A bunch of CEOs of companies will go there to his compound in Vegas. We hang out, and Tony was over there smoking his cigar, doing his thing. He was big. He liked ayahuasca stuff too, and he always guys, if we're gonna think, might as well let's think bigger. If we're gonna dream, might as well let's dream bigger. How do you guys think I built Zappos, selling shoes to women, to $1 billion company, selling shoes, and going against bigger brands than he was competing against all the other shoe brand. And you and I know, Mike, is such a difficult place to break through, right? You see those youngsters nowadays out there like Mr. Beast breaking into the chocolate industry against the Hershey's and the Crunches of the world, which is anybody would call that impossible before he had an attempt in the past of doing those things. But again, I want you guys to think about what Mike is saying over here is something that I've been preaching a lot. What is an area in your business, in your life, that you can improve right now? Where can you put yourself into an environment that you can now go shake some new hands? Like Mike said, even if they're from different oppositions, different views, right? Put yourself in that place. Like I challenge myself, the younger Carlos, okay, I know the corporations, they didn't want to send their employees on payroll to the block, to the hood, to the projects to go sell cable and internet. I grew up, for me, the projects in USA is middle class in Brazil. So what I did, I assembled a group of people, ex-criminals, people live in prisons. Let's go to the barrios. Let's go to the favelas of the USA, anywhere that the corporations are not willing to put a white man on a payroll because they're afraid they're going to get stabbed. I'm going to have to pay additional insurance. And guess who's going to be there? Carlos. I'm going to make those corporations billions of dollars, and I'll make my millions on the way. And that's how I made my millions at a young age, by going where nobody was willing to go, by being able to buy the XRP when the market was crashing. But again, you said such a great point, Mike. And I really hope that people are writing is like, we're taking you guys to church over here on a Friday, But it's a very, very important topic, guys. I want to challenge you guys throughout the holidays to think about areas that you can go to. Like Mike gave you guys a great tip. Political events. They're still happening. We're still transitioning, getting yourself out there. Go find other areas. Put yourself on industries. I often tell my friends, get yourself on industry stages. Even if you cannot speak, if you don't know how to speak at those places yet, put yourself there as attendee. Go get to know the event organizers. Eventually, you'll be applying to speak at those events if that is your thing. But what that will do, it will bring additional businesses. And eventually, like you say, Mike, when he started his business in New York, now he's doing signs all over the world and working with major brands like banks and institutions. And again, most people in the sign industry, they, I call Mickey Mouse, they're playing around in their own area. Or a lot of people in the branding space and creators, Mike, they're out there using Chat GPT like everybody else. Same old posts on LinkedIn, on Facebook. No creativity. Not, you know what I mean? And I know that we can go on and on, but what are you going to say, Mike?
Yeah, there is a place for everyone, and sometimes it's not always making millions. Sometimes it's accepting their role. And I never want to say that money makes you happy, because certainly money does not make someone happy. And you could take that from me as you go through those transitions after you get those possessions that you want. I mean, I don't even wear my watches anymore, Carlos.
Yeah, same here.
I don't wear my watches anymore. I still have them because I want to give them to my son. But do I want to pass that same burden, that same, unconscious, this is a status symbol to my son when I'm trying to get out of that because it doesn't matter to me any longer, and I think, it's really about who you are. And before you get out there and you meet people and you greet people, you have to take care of yourself. So the people over the holidays is like, sometimes they need to make a better decision about what they eat and what they drink. I mean, I'm proud to say that I'm over 4 years sober. I haven't had alcohol, and it wasn't because I had an issue. It was because it's poison.
Yeah.
It doesn't do your body any good. And me drinking alcohol was avoiding my shadows, was avoiding my traumas. She was trying to go ahead and push that side of me behind. And I think, I don't need any drugs or alcohol to be myself anymore. It's just you end up becoming your authentic self, and things start getting better and they come to you. It's amazing how the world works. The more you give, you get. You express that. And the more you put yourself out there for others, just in presence, the more you're going to go ahead and receive. So sometimes it is getting out there, and sometimes it's on social media. Yeah. For me, it wasn't social media. We're going to go through an ad. We're going through a marketing regime with a new website. And you and I will talk further about, some channels we want to turn on for marketing. And we're going to do some segment marketing to my key areas where we make money. Listen, I love doing business with the general public and doing that one location for the pizza place or the one deli. Yeah. That's great. But if you're doing business with a school or a church or an institution, they're constantly ordering signs all year long. So your sales time is one, and now you have a client for life, as opposed to with the client as a new storefront next to each other. Each one, you have to go through that sales process. And that sales process is time consuming, as you know, as well as it could be, it can be costly.
Yeah. Talk about a lifetime value audience segmentation of a client.
Yeah.
Just to go a little bit deeper here with my creators and marketers, it's a whole nother level of the lifetime value. It's funny, Mike, and even going back to health as our wealth, which we often talk about, as someone who values both health and wealth, how do you think, they intersect in creating a fulfilled life, Mike, from your experience?
Listen, I know for a fact that I don't feel well if I don't meditate or work out before I come to work. I'm less productive.
Yeah.
I know that if I change my physiology, I can change my move in an instant. I know for a fact that if I was to get up right now and jump around for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, that I could change my physiology and change my mood. Yeah. I know if I did deep breath work that I could release DMT.
Yeah.
And I could have a psychedelic experience. So there's extremes to it. Like, you don't need the drugs. You are the drug.
Yeah.
People even who suffer from pains and broken bones. I mean, Joe Dispenza, the power of the mind.
Yeah.
You believe, I think, this goes back to what I said to you before, Carlos, is pay attention to all the good and the opportunity that's out there, not the negative and the what's holding me back. And this is their fault. You take ownership, and it's like taking ownership of your body. You got to take ownership of your business. So if you're not taking care of your body, how are you taking care of your business? Isn't that a direct reflection of one and the other? I think so. So when I feel better and I work out, I tend to dress better. I tend to perform better. I tend to look better. I don't know how much I can tell you how much better I am if I do those things. And yeah, there's days I don't, but you try to do something, whether it's walking, and I'll leave my office and go for a walk. Try to do something out in nature, some sort of exercise, some sort of meditation. I know you journal, but journaling is very arduous for me. My mind moves too fast. So what I've been doing, I've been journaling with ChatGPT just to blurt my thoughts out. And I'm saying I'm writing a journal and I want you to organize my thoughts a little bit for me. And it really helps me get out what I have to say. And I know it's not the connection to pen and paper, but it also allows us to take advantage of net time. How many people drive a half hour in their car or 20 minutes in their car, and they listen to some dumb drive program. I'm listening to Tony Robbins or Joe, or I'm doing my journaling, or I'm writing a letter with ChatGPT. I have a list of letters that I still have lists, Carlos.
I love it, brother. You know how we do it.
I still have lists, my man. I can't get away. I keep on saying I'm going to get rid of my list. I put them on my notepad in my computer, and I still got fucking paper.
I got my little post-it note. I know that I do this. Hey, post-it note and the paper clips. Let me see if the camera. I don't know if the.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, the drill, man. You can never forget where we come from. And I love the idea of the journaling with ChatGPT for the people I was literally talking to my daughter. We have our rituals every morning, daddy and daughter, that we work on personal development and mental toughness. And we were talking about, I was saying, what? Daddy has not been journaling, as much as I used to. I've been journaling less and less. So I love that idea of journaling with ChatGPT. Very, very cool. Now, I love that, because health and wealth is also something that I also talk about. The health, isn't just the absence of illness. It's the foundation of greatness. Because when we take care of our body, like you say, Mike, and take care of ourselves, when we show up, right? When I leave the studio and I go back home, and you leave your office and you go back home, now we bring in the happiness, the energy. So what is the energy that we are bringing back home? The energy I don't know if you, I bet you use this every time that I walk through a door, and I walk through that door, I'm like, is it Carlos' best self about to walk through that door for my employees, my family, my children? And it's those little things that you and I do that people thinking, oh, I don't have the time. Whether it's even if it's stepping, for a couple of minutes on a breather, jumping the trampoline, you got you got your cord, whatever it is. Right, the other day I bought 3 boxing things around the house, and you're boxing on the wall. And now we're doing family competition, right? It's the little shit,
Well, you always want to change someone's physiology. That's what it goes. It stems from that. So it's like when you walk through the door, you have a smile on your face.
And it's unconscious.
Always. And I don't care if there's no one on the other side of the door. You make it a habit. If I'm rounding a dead corner in a building, I put a smile on my face because I don't know who's going to be there. And for my kids and my wife, it's become, when I walk through the door, it's some sort of love or gratitude or affection.
For real,
it's
man.
A hug, it's a touch, it's an acknowledgement. My dogs usually get to me first.
Animals always does.
They always
my birds, man. My birds, they fly in. We leave them around the house. The birds, we have all these little birds, and they fly in. They come on my shoulder. One of them does. The other one doesn't like me as much.
Well, they also know, Carlos. They know what type of energy you give off, and I think we lie to ourselves first, right? And ultimately, if we lie to ourselves first, what kind of energy are you putting out there?
Yeah, for real.
Right? How long can you be fake and beyond that be that alter ego and perform? It's impossible.
Yeah,
it's impossible. And it's a lot easier when you're not acting and you're just being authentic. Kind of like you and I are being here right now. I mean, you didn't send me any notes or
like no script.
I didn't know what we were talking about. I didn't know what we were talking about today.
I know. I do that to all my guests, and it doesn't matter how much I prepare the things that I want to ask. I have my little notes, but I'm like, it's like we're free flowing. There's no script, teleprompting, because now we can operate as who Mike is, who Carlos is, and who we are. And the people that know us close, they know we are the same way here on camera and off camera.
Yeah, and that's the world we live in. You gotta dig through the people that are fake, and how many people, all of us have been scammed online by one or another, or something that we bought.
Yeah.
Or someone which we bought into for one reason or another. They hooked you. So yeah, you could be a great salesman, but you dig down deeper. And I think that's what happens in whether it's my industry or your industry.
Yeah.
The shit floats to the bottom and the cream of the crop comes to the top. So, so let's hang out with the cream of the crop, and then you're able to go ahead and do business with them. But if you continue to bottom feed, what are you going to get? Shit.
For real. And Mike, you make me thinking about something that I always talk about, which is question everything, trust no one. I often use that term when I'm talking about finances, insurance, blockchain, whatever. But why do you believe, Mike, skepticism is vital? And not only that, how does questioning everything leads to true transformation? What's your take on that?
Well, I think that you really need to do a little bit of self-reflection and think about who's really telling you what's right and what's wrong. And let's go to the color blue. Someone said, hey, look, this is the color blue. This was made up by a man. So some will say the earth is flat and some say the earth is round, right? And they've got facts which support each of it. But I think it's up to anyone to do their due diligence and make their own assumptions. And I even think it's religion, which is part of the problem in this world. And if we all believed in one love, and I think that most religions stem from that, how much of a more beautiful place would this world be? I mean, look at the wars we got going on right now for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, real talk.
And a lot of it has to do with religion and different frames of mind, because someone's telling you to dislike this other person. So I believe there's a false narrative, and we could look at the news for the last 8-10 years on how fake it's been. Yeah. How come they're allowed to promote facts? They're allowed to promote lies. So I think who controls the media controls the populace. And I think that the people that are out there on social media that are constantly hammering you, you need to question and you need to dive deeper about that person and their history.
I love that quote. Controls the media, controls the populace. That's a good one. I like it.
Well, listen, I don't want to say it, but it was actually Hitler who actually started propaganda, and he controlled the media, and the media at that time was paper droplets. And unfortunately, once was the beginning of the propaganda to get people to give up their guns.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, we've got to be careful with who we believe and what we believe. But I think, you know, I think more people are becoming awake towards it. And I think that society is realizing that they need to make their own decision and they need to stand alone. You know, unfortunately, freedom of speech was almost gone. I think we have a chance to get it back.
Yeah. And
make sure it's secure, that you could go ahead and speak your mind, Carlos, no matter what it is. This is a free country.
Yeah, no, for real. No, and I'm glad that you say, because, and that's another thing too. People they sugarcoat it, and they just didn't want to say stuff. You know, I remember when I interviewed a friend of mine, you know, back in the day when YouTube canceled me, you know, and because I was bringing different opposite views, and I was like being a mediator, and I was bringing different types of people in the show. And I guess, you know, YouTube didn't like it. It's so controlling. But I was interviewing one of my friends that wrote the MAGA song, and that person up happens to be gay. And now he was like, if he wrote that song for Obama, it wouldn't be no problem. But because he wrote it for Trump, it was an issue. And I was like, who come up with this shit, right? It's almost like if the person were gay, they couldn't vote for Trump. Like, what the heck? Like, who invented this shit? What happened to you and I? Like, we grew up in the 80s and the 90s. We could have changed sex, religion, or political views in the morning, and we were hanging out at night. We were playing pool, arcade. It wasn't an issue. As long as we respect one another and you're not imposing your stuff in my kids, I'm cool with you, right? Like, you know, I you know, it's like, so I'm old school. I'm a Marine, and you and I know, you know, we hardcore old school gladiators, and that is a line that you don't cross. We respect everybody. I respect if you change your political view, your sex, your religion, whatever. As long as you don't try to come and impose on my children, we are cool, right? You know what I mean?
You also can't be, you can't go ahead and pigeonhole us into the narrative which is being portrayed on the media. So when you hear, when you're derogatory remarks, and I've known they've been thrown at you and they've been thrown at me for supporting President Trump, that are just so untrue. I'm the least racist person in the world.
People know me.
I always make a joke, and it's not that I hate anybody, but I said I hate everybody equally.
Yeah.
Right. Because I love people. Right. So, I mean, you know, and I'm like, it dumbfound me that you want to put me in that box.
Tell me about it. See, my blood in my own family, we black, white, and native Indian from the Amazon. I've been through every racial thing growing up in my entire life. So you can never ever call me nothing. Because
you know, it's to me, you're a man, and I don't even know what you are until you just said that to me, brother.
Yeah.
You know, it never mattered and it never came up. Yeah. But would it have come up if you made it an issue? And you brought it up, and you look for problems that I was racist towards you. So if you look for it, you're going to find it. And I think that's my point in saying about the good and the bad. You want to look for the problems, you're going to find them. If you want to look for the good, you're going to find them. And it's just like business. If you want to find business, you're going to find it. And if you want to find the problems in business that have been holding you back, you're certainly going to find them, and they're going to continue to present themselves because history repeats itself.
Yeah. And you know, it's funny, Mike, as you're talking about history and you mentioned Hitler earlier, I often use the words, if you look at Hitler, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, if you say something long enough, often enough, people are going to start to believe it. So you have to be very careful, whether it's good or evil, what you preach out there. Internally, what you tell yourself.
I don't know how far you want to go down the rabbit hole, but if you pull out the Encyclopedia Britannica from the 1940s and you compare it to the Encyclopedia Britannica of today, you will see how much history has changed in writing. As a matter of fact, you can't even get the old books. And if you're to find them, it's a relic. And it's so important because history is so much different, and it's so much broader, and it's not so much hate.
Yeah. No, man, so true. And that's why I tell people, man, question everything, trust no one. Just like you be the church, like, reach out to a neighbor, reach your friends in your neighborhood. That's
I think
helping one another, challenging one another.
It's great what you guys are doing. And even Tucker Carlson, who goes to Russia to show us the grocery stores, how clean they are. And you could eat off the subways, and everybody was happy. And I'm like, wait a second, this looks good here. Like,
yeah,
we're thinking it's this worst place in the world.
For real. I was thinking about between you and I, and now we're telling the whole world here. I was talking to my wife. We were looking at Russia, Mexico, and a few other countries to move, if for whatever reason our brother Trump would have made it, and but thank God, God is good, that what happened, we will talk, such a great time to be alive. And we all know how great this country was, 8 years ago. And now we're going to be back at it, with him back in the game, and it's going to be awesome. Great things ahead.
Yeah, listen, just look at what's going on with crypto, and just look at what's going on in foreign policy in regards to them already having peace talks. So I think there's a lot of good which is already happening. Look at the stock market. So,
not even a month. This is historical shit. We're never going to see stuff like this ever in our lives again. The historical, the events that led up to the election.
I mean, I want them to trim the fat. I mean, the guys who's the head of the FBI, the new head of the FBI, what's his name?
Oh yeah, Patel.
That he's going to go in there and clean house, that no one really should be in a desk job. And Elon Musk talking about how the computers are inadequate, and how they're going to trim the fat off government. I mean, look at the government spending. I mean, Carlos, come on. You're getting taxed 38% of a dollar.
It's
and
crazy,
you're paying
man.
Tax on top of it. On top of it, you're paying tax again.
Look at the debt clock. I tell people all the time in finance, when I tell you, just look at the debt clock. Why you guys think I preach becoming the bank? All the money that you guys are making in blockchain, move some of the money to becoming your own bank by leveraging insurance properly, double tax, double down on your money, pay less taxes. It's about doing what they're well
and buy whole life insurance.
Yep.
Get yourself whole life insurance. If the banks are the biggest holders of whole life insurance.
They don't understand, brother. They don't understand. I tell them, DM your brother Carlos.
You buy, so you take your earnings from your crypto or whatever, and you're buying yourself some whole life policy, and then you have your cash to use, and it's guaranteed growth, and it's conservative, and it's not going to go down.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, it's protected. And now let's take one layer deeper. With Trump coming back, we already know what happens in the last time he run it. This economy was the greatest. Like, to give you guys an idea, when I opened up one for my daughter when she was born back in 2011, right after the recession, $500, $1,000 every month. Now she have millions sitting there. It would never go down. She can borrow it tax-free when she's 18. She can double down on her money and never again. I often tell, me, I'm on the board of Team USA, and I always talk to athletes and a bunch of people. Guys, don't go and buy the Ferrari, that Rolls Royce. Open up a whole life insurance, dump your money there, and then borrow the money tax-free. Pay yourself, don't pay the bank. Come on.
Carlos, I made all my kids open up their own Coinbase accounts. They all have their own trading accounts. I make sure that they look at it when we make trades. I show them what they're doing. I show them how that my savings allowed me to pay for. I got 2 kids in college. I got 1 kid in private school. But I also drive around in a 2016 car.
Yeah.
So, I don't need the Lamborghini or this. People think it matters. Who gives a shit what people think about you? Yeah. I don't care what people think about me anymore. I used to care.
Yeah.
That's why I wore the watch. That's why I wore, and I wanted to go, and I was really a big guy on Facebook, and where I was going here and going there. Now I very rarely post. I don't. I post a few moments that really mean something to me, because my parents are in Florida and they want to see, and you go to the World Series, you want everybody to know you're at Game 5 of the Yankees World Series, right?
Yeah. Now I'm on the same way, man. I got my Ford Raptors, old school Ford Raptors in Brazil in here, 2017, 16, 14, and I got a few of those. And it's like you say, people they don't talk about it, right? It's like, you can be the wealthiest person in the world. Guess what? The wealthiest person in the planet, when you die, you ain't taking shit with you. It's like people not gonna talk about our cars or airplanes or helicopters, all this shit. They're not gonna talk about like, oh, look at how much money this guy made in Bitcoin. He bought a Bitcoin when it was 7 cents and now $100. Now it's 50 million. Yeah, we talk about that story, but you ain't taking the Bitcoin with you. You ain't taking all this XRP money we are about to make. We ain't taking none of that shit with us. It's what do you do, how you treat people when nobody's watching, how much more are you donating when above and beyond the tax bracket. You guys know me. I've been raising cash to go. I'll go out there on the streets with my daughter. We look for women in the parking lot selling tamales, strawberries. I asked them, how much you make today? $50, $100. Here's 300. Here's 500. And then we go and look for veterans. And we give them beanies. We put $100, $200, $300 inside the beanie. We give it to them. We give it a jacket. But you guys don't see me with the camera on their face. Once in a while, if I would do a video, it's to inspire my audience. But, I was that kid on the street selling bread. I don't want an influencer on my face. Hey, here, kid, how much bread money you make? And then now go and put that on social media for significance. No, you do it because it makes you feel good. You do it. And that's why I inspire my friends, my other podcast friends out there. Raise money through your podcast, through initiatives. Challenge your followers to do the same, and go in their neighborhoods. Go pay somebody's gas today. The other day I did a post yesterday, Mike. Go create a little flyer, buy, 3 extra meals at this restaurant here today. Stick the receipts to that wall. And anybody that's broke, come over there, grab that receipt and go get a burger. And if you can afford it, go buy and drop a receipt and stick a receipt here. It's shit like this.
Good idea. It changes people's days. Hey, listen, it goes even just all the way down to you smiling when you walk into a door, holding the door for someone, greeting them. It all of those things matter. All of those things matter. And giving back is so important. I mean, you bring up, I've had a dream to be the conscious sign guy where we would go out and your mother makes the best empanadas and she's got a storefront that's hidden and she's got no social media. She's got no website. She's got no sign. So the conscious sign guy goes in there. We create a logo for them. We give them a sign. We bring in social. We bring in video and then we promote her and we lift her up. And then we go to the next business and to me, I never liked handing money to people, Carlos. I think I've conveyed this to you.
Yeah.
I like seeing the fruits of my labor and the efforts. So when we needed to go ahead and when we gave gifts to the family, we had a choice. Do we want to pay for these gifts and drop them off, or do we want to deliver them ourselves? We chose to deliver them ourselves. Yeah. To bring our kids to realize how lucky are you that we're able to do this and to see the joy in others, or even our kids giving their secondhand toys away to the neighbors or to their nephews. Hey, come downstairs and go through. So it becomes addictive. And if you could start them young, you can't give it all away, but if you start them young, it becomes a constant occurrence. And my kids always tend to text me at those moments. Yeah. Hey, Dad, I did this. And I'm like, my kid, right?
It's priceless, man.
They'll share a video with me. Hey, Dad, you remember when we were driving and you saw that there were people in Michigan that were waiting outside and I stopped and I didn't have $20 to give to 30 people. But when a few people walked away, I got out of the car and I gave them money and I wished them it was Thanksgiving time a couple of years ago. So she kind of replicated that. And it's good to hear and that you see these things stick in their mind.
It's cool, man. Like the other day, I don't know if I talked about this before on the podcast. I think I did. It was the greatest thing ever. I always tend to give it away, either my beanies or go give beanies. I put money inside. But this time we were going by her mom's favorite donuts. And then it was a guy outside, looked like he was homeless. And, it was cold. And then I had a beanie and I went and then I gave him my beanie. So fast forward, a few weeks later, now Isabella go see somebody outside. She had a beanie, saw the person was homeless, laying down on the floor. She grabs the beanie. She knows she cannot walk away from me, far away. And I saw her walking away, crossing the parking lot. And I'm looking at her and I'm like, just observing. She went, grabbed the beanie. The person was on the floor and she said, "Excuse me, can I put this on your head?" And I was like, oh, dude, I was like, I was about to yell at her, "What are you doing crossing the street by yourself?" And then I observed, because I also know she's a trained martial artist and she's a badass in fighting. But I'm like, let me.
Yeah, she's old enough.
Yeah, she's old enough. So, the daddy, the protector one. And I was like, hold on here. And then she put the beat. I was like, oh, dude, it is the greatest thing ever. But Mike, as we getting towards the end of the show, man, wow, just what a show, brother. What a show. But
it's over? I thought we just got on the phone. How long is it?
Right? I normally try to keep this within an hour. We have 57 minutes. But I do want to bring a point here, something that I know you love. You love this. And I know that a lot of people out there needed to hear this today. I call the inner detox, because you and I talk about this and you often say, right, it's not your job to detox from toxic people. It's your job to detox the part of you that resonates with them. How do we begin the inner work, Mike? What is one tip, brother? I know that you gave up alcohol and you try ayahuasca and other things, but what other things can you say, Mike, that really help you begin the inner work?
Wow, it's been a long journey. My first recommendation is reevaluate your friends.
Yes.
You really need to reevaluate your immediate circle. And if those people aren't filling your cup and you're the only one filling their cup, that's where you start. And once you start surrounding yourself with people that fill your cup, you live in, I want to say bliss, but the world is much greater, and you start having that reciprocation, kind of like you and I do. I mean, we're complete strangers, except for the last 7 years with a relationship online and on the phone and through Tony Robbins and mutual friends. If you look at your friend list and you look at my friend list, we have a lot of mutual friends. You're like, how the hell do you know that person? And they all come back to Tony. So once again, if you associate with the right people that are going through the same processes. I mean, obviously, if you want to quit alcohol, you don't hang out in bars and you don't drink. You don't hang out with the people that drink. So that's why I say it starts with your inner circle. And it starts with reading and educating. Get off fucking social media unless you're feeding your mind with positivity. My Instagram, Carlos, is nothing but money making, positive, loving. There's no friends in my Instagram. If you're in my Instagram, it's the only way you could see it is because I'm on Facebook. But I probably, if you're my friend in Instagram, which you are, but I don't post anything, but it keeps the feed clean for me. So when we talked about the media or we talk about Hitler, what you're feeding yourself on a daily basis really dictates the outlook in life.
Yeah. We got to be careful the things that we feel in our mind, whether we speak anything long enough, often enough is so true. And Mike, that brings me to the last question of the show, which is a powerful question, a very profound question I ask every guest. Is your eulogy is 50 years from now, you are 100 years old, all your best friends are there. If I'm happen to be alive still, I'll be there smoking a Cuban cigar, maybe drinking some scotch or tea, and listening to AC/DC. And your best friend gonna look at their eulogy, gonna start reading, and he's gonna say, Michael SantoLiquido was ... In your own words, my friend, I'm gonna put you over here on solo layout. Let the world know who was Michael SantoLiquido.
Well, he was the hardest worker I've ever known, and I've never seen anyone who never quit. Giving up was never an option as life presented itself. I mean, Carlos, to be honest with you, when I experienced my ego death under ayahuasca, there was no one at my funeral. So it was kind of that enlightening experience. So as you go and you go through life, you hope that you could change the way people will write about you, right? So what I may think of myself today, and I think I still got another 30 or 40 years left of me to do good, right? That I think things will change for the better. And my children will be doing my eulogy, and it would be that he was full of love and acceptance.
Wow.
Because my children are 3 different kids, and teaching them to be themselves has been my greatest accomplishment. And like you're yourself, and you're authentic, and you act like a fucking clown. And I love it. And I laugh, and you're authentic, and you got a smile on your face. And I'm like, wow. And I couldn't do what you do. It's so not me. But, every now and again, I get the urge to get up and I'm coming out of my shell, and I'll be in a restaurant and the same song will come on, and I'll get up and dance and embarrass my kids because it makes me feel good.
Yeah. Oh man, you hear so many times. What a beautiful thing to say. And for me, I heard so many times, the things that I do, like I would use a green screen and I'll put a green shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my clients, Sean Kenner from Karate Kid, he's on Awesome Cobra Kai. Shout out to my boy, Sean. He's like, dude, only you and he's a big producer with his wife. And he's like, only you that can pull this shit. Because you do things that are outside the norm. It's your bubble head, you're on a green shirt, a green screen in the back.
Tell everybody.
And you pull it.
Everybody's got to realize that you don't plan that stuff out.
Yeah.
That it just kind of happens. It kind of just happens. Like this whole hour we're on it just happens. And that's what I think being authentic is. And I think it's beautiful that you involve your daughter and you do those things and you do them together. And it makes people want to come back.
Yeah.
It made me continually follow you, right? Going back to 2017.
Yeah.
That's how this relationship started.
Michael, I don't think I never talked about this before. It's like, even like when I first did the bicycle thing on the stage, I was freaking out. I was worried. I was afraid. But why? Because I was on other people's head. Carlos, you're 6'5", 300 pounds, and you're going to bring a Hello Kitty Barbie bike for a 7-year-old little girl on the stage with the bread on the bike on the Oscars event or on this event or on this big corporations event. And in my mind, I was like, no, I'm in other people's head. The real Carlos, the clown, the wild, the crazy one, the one that brings love in every memory and doesn't give a F what anybody else thinks. He wouldn't care about the shit. And that's why a lot of people, I love that you and I, when we speak full out. And I think that's something that society and a lot of people out there, they holding back, knowing that what they holding back is bringing them setback, because bringing that bike on that stage with that bread, I was able to make those CEOs and those celebrities really understand that life is not about fame and money. It's about not forgetting where we come from.
Well, you break the pattern.
Yep.
You break the pattern of the norm, right? And what ends up happening is like, wow, if he could do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
So it becomes inspiring, and I think it comes with time going online and doing lives or interviews. And I think you gain experience.
Yeah.
But if once again, it goes back to being authentic, that's you.
Yeah. It's just like,
that's you.
Yeah. And I always kind of see something when I was little, when I sold the bread, when I was young at age 7, I couldn't, how am I going to compete with everybody else? I had to make sounds. I would have to, I used to imitate Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses and all these musicians. So people be walking around, I'll be singing, and they're like, what the heck? Like, no, it's me imitating that person. It's me getting creative, blowing the whistle.
That was your social media. That was your platform back then.
Yep. Dude, I so wish I could have document and videotape those moments. The 7-year-old Carlos in the favelas in the hood.
I suggest you get your producer buddy and you produce that.
For real, right? Make a documentary.
Produce that. You produce it. Just clips of it, and then recycling it into like here would be great to see some of that. And I know you speak of it a lot.
You're right. I speak, but it'll be great to produce. You're right.
But Carlos, listen, I used to go ahead and caddy at 11 years old at the golf course. I lied about my age. And then after I caddied, did 2 loops on a Saturday and Sunday, I would sell the golf balls back to the golfers. So, I was always hustling. So people who are struggling, that's what I don't get. There's always a way to make money, especially these days online. My God. You could be a reseller. You could be one of a million things online and never leave your house.
Especially nowadays with technology, man. joint ventures, JVs, Amazon, influencers, so much stuff out there, TikTok. You can earn money from monetizing your views. Look, Facebook, you go on Facebook Live and you post there, and then eventually Facebook is going to reach out to you, and you're gonna be a part of the influencers program where you're now monetizing not just your reels and your videos as they used to be, but now you can even monetize your posts. It's like we live in a world where, imagine like somebody would tell us back in the 90s, Mike, you're gonna earn money for posting photos and videos on the internet, and I'm gonna give you all these thousands of dollars every month. And you're like, I used to make 50 cents a day. If I would have posted me selling bread on the street age 7, I'll be a billionaire by now. Because I used to see people being shot and stabbed, selling their products right next to me. Imagine I'll be over there with my phone, videotaping this shit every day. It'll be a viral video.
It'll be a viral video.
I'm like, Jesus. But man, wow.
But I think I think that's part of the problem is everybody's looking for that get quick rich thing.
Yep.
Listen, Carlos, I told you I've been working since I'm 11 years old.
Yes, sir.
I'm in business 33 years. Over the years, I bought some real estate. I did some good investments. I followed your lead on crypto. I see that growing exponentially. So yeah, you make small concerns. Everybody wants to rush and get quick. It's the turtle wins the race.
Yeah.
Right. I'm always skeptical. We speak of this.
Yeah.
It's this is the quick rich. You're going to get loaded if you do this. You're going to lose weight if you do this. Bullshit.
Yeah. It's so funny, Mike. You said that. I was talking to a client yesterday. And he's like, I appreciate you. We were celebrating that he got a stage. And he remembered me telling them something powerful. As I always tell people, the gurus and the people selling you stuff online, they will never tell you this. I'm going to teach you the right way of becoming a professional speaker, which is you have the foundation there and you go to work and you go in and you apply for events every single week. And most events, Mike, the real industry stages in blockchain, insurance, automobile, cosmetics, hospital, any industry, they book speakers 6, 9 months and 12 months out. So I tell people, I'm going to teach you the right way, not getting rich next week or next month. I'm going to show you how to put in the work now and start applying for those gigs. So now 6 and 9 months down the line, you're going to have all these people knocking at your door. Less is more. All you need is one stage a month, and you start documenting those stages. We're not allowed to pitch at industry events, but guess what? People come to us after we are done talking, and they hire us as their consultants, as their speakers to do workshops, and that's how you make big money is over time. It's no such a thing as that quick make money right away. And my client almost like had a happy tear because he's like, I love how integrity to the process and committed you are, because you told me that even before I hire you as my consultant and show me how to get paid to speak, you told me, Carl, it's not going to be right away. It's going to be 6, 9, and 12 months down the line because we got to put in the work. We got to apply. We're going to be denied. Let me show you how to reapply it. But you see, we'll talk about this stuff, Mike.
How did you determine your avenue? How did you determine where you were going to go with your speaking? Or as you did it, did it just organically start forming down these different avenues of opportunity? Because I often think that, I have no issue in speaking to you, and there's obviously a lot to share within context, but within context, right? So, you're speaking as a motivational speaker, you're speaking about business, getting into that realm, self-help. What's that avenue?
Yeah, you see, the biggest thing, Mike, that I always recommend people doing is a audience segmentation, right? Finding out who are the people that are coming to you right now, they are paying you money. What industries are they coming from, right? Really go do a deep dive into our audience segmentation. Once we understand the audience, the people that are more likely to hire you to give you money, now we go and we're going to focus on applying for industry events where your avatar is sitting there. Because now, if we know that your avatar going to be sitting at those industry stages, doesn't matter which industries, and most people like you talking about branding, you can talk about branding to many industries, and you are very industry agnostic, right? So now all we got to focus on making sure the branding is in alignment from the banners that you use on LinkedIn, on your speaker website. Make sure that if you are a speaker or you want to be a professional speaker, they are using the word speaker on their LinkedIn, on their social media profiles. So when I do make a recommendation or refer you to our event or show you how to apply and be selected to speak, when those event organizers look at your LinkedIn and your website, they will see the speaker there. They will see your sizzle reel. They will see your speaker one sheet. But again, Mike, it's becoming tactical about applying. You don't want to be serving every single place. No, you want to be focused. And now you apply for gigs where once you become selected to be there, clients will come to you. You already know you are natural. You got a great charisma. You speak the truth, your real talk, and people love that. So they'll be drawn to you, even though we're not allowed to pitch. So over time, as I always tell people, the only person that can screw the system up is if you don't apply for these gigs. Because you and I know, Mike, and some of my listeners here, you guys have something to teach. You've been doing, like Mike, myself, in the game for 10, 20, 30 years. And we all know if we really take the business of speaking full-time seriously, all we got to do is apply for 5 gigs a week. That's 20 gigs a month. That's 240 gigs a year. And honestly, we all know if we apply for that many gigs, it's kind of hard not to be selected for at least 12 gigs, which is 1 a month, and now rinse and repeat the process. Have that habit like brushing our teeth. For every week, 1 hour, I'm blocking my time. I'm applying for 5 gigs.
And you fine tune your craft, and you go ahead and you get your presence down, and you realize what you should and shouldn't say. Yeah, I could see.
You see what I'm saying? But again, it's the integrity to the process. Like I tell people, it's not getting rich overnight. Is the foundation has to be strong, right? From banners to the website to the words that we use. You know that from being the sign king. So that foundation got to be there. And then now everything else, right? Making sure we're putting out content that is in alignment to the problems they seek and they don't have, that we can fix it, right? Think about why am I part of so many social media influence panels and secret groups that social media companies have? Because I've been putting videos out since MySpace. And I've been putting thousands of videos and pieces of content that now social media companies come to us, influencers. All right, great. We are thinking about launching this, doing that. What do you guys think? As influencers, they are constantly using the platforms. So now we're getting feedback from them and we ask them, what do you guys want more? Oh, we want more video, Carlos. So now I go and I share with my audience through podcasting here, through my other medias. Hey guys, let's put more videos because that's what the social media companies want. That's what LinkedIn wants. Look at LinkedIn video feed. It's pushing it. Thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of what? Free impressions, $0 cost expense. Same thing. Pretty soon, Twitter, Elon is investing a ton of money on video infrastructure. Pretty soon, who knows? He's going to.
Whoa. So you brought up Elon. So we have to go ahead and go on to his coin. And we have to talk about his allegiance with XRP.
Oh yeah, I know. Isn't that funny how he's in charge of him and Vivek of the department, the Doge Department of Government Efficiency?
You know what? Did you see that because of that? Did you see that Dogecoin went up just because when they announced that there was the Doge Department? It had nothing to do with
it. It's like this shit is biblical. It's like the other day I was seeing something on a movie from the early, I think from 1990 or 1980, and the movie says something about XRP. And I'm like, what the, and that was before black blockchain was created. It's some of the stuff that's happening out there, not only in politics and also in finance, is biblical, right? But I know you like myself, we love to study the early empires, the Roman empires, and all those folks. And
I think there's a great lesson in that, is that everything's got to go ahead and come to an end. And I look at what our economy is and our debt, and you look at all the countries that are investing in Bitcoin, it makes you wonder.
For real.
And even at $100,000 a coin, Michael Saylor's saying, I'm going to be buying at $1 million a coin. So if you could buy them now, buy them now.
I'm telling you, man, I have a lot of people that made fun out of me and Max Kaiser. I had Max, a lot of you guys that follow Max. He's a big maximalist. And Max came on my show, I think it was in 2022. We had a great show together here on the podcast. And Max made a prediction that year to be at 220,000. And then, as we all know what happened, Bitcoin went back down. But we were like, hey, Max was just off by a few years. You know, we're not right all the time. That's why I always tell people, I'm not a financial advisor, even though I have helped tens of thousands of people around the world become wealthier and wiser. I know that it's lame, but I always got to drop a disclaimer. I joke around, but I'm actually being serious. Max was just off a few years. Pretty soon, it's inevitable that Bitcoin becomes 220,000, like Max made that claim. You know, on the show, I have him and his wife, Stacy. Shout out to both of you rock stars. And then now, Max is an advisor for El Salvador president, right? You start seeing blockchain influencers like Max now guiding and advising presidents. Trump saw what they did that in El Salvador, saw what's happening in Argentina. He's like, you know, imagine if U.S. would be doing this here now. But again, Trump started hanging around Elon and all these incredible people, and you hang around the barbershop, you get a haircut. And now imagine if we adopt Bitcoin, you know, as a reserve asset into U.S., and the things that we can do, people they don't realize, we'll be able to wipe that debt out of that pot, those trillions and trillions of dollars.
And they already have, they're talking about legislation needs to be changed. There's no reference to cryptocurrency, and it can be handled with an executive order. And Trump and his family just invested, they just bought 50 million worth of ETH.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, as long as we don't have Kramer open his mouth, tell people to go.
Oh, he's fucking on board now. He's changed his tune.
I love messing with Kramer. He loves, you know, we have the inverse Kramer on Twitter. Whatever Kramer say, but you have a nothing.
Do the opposite. Do the opposite. Well, you know what? It goes back to he's part of the matrix. Right? Yep. You got to watch who you're listening. So anything that's on mainstream, and I always go to say, if it's on regular TV, I don't believe it. It's not true, or it's old news.
Yeah.
You know, if you really want to know what's coming, you really got to dive down deep and do your own homework.
Yes, I'm telling you. And then just be smart about it, guys. Like, you guys see me talking about stuff for so long. You know, you got a DCA. For some of you guys that doesn't know what that means, you dollar cost average your way into those assets, whatever asset class. But since we're talking about blockchain, if you see that the market is going down for whatever reason, that's when we buy, when everybody's freaking out. When it's green, when you feel greedy, that's when you sell a little bit. So now you take your profit off the top, wait to go back down, buy back again. Or if you don't want to worry about that, just set up purchases, $50, $100 a week, every week for the rest of your life. And again, not a financial advice, but I've been telling a lot of people that
you don't feel it. You don't feel it. All of those changes that you make, those automatic withdrawals, you don't feel it.
You know, it's crazy, man. And pay your taxes. Don't try to cheat the system. You know, it's just like anything else. It's plenty money to be made. If you worry about your crypto taxes, that's a great problem to have.
But you got to use the tax code to your advantage, Carlos.
Yes, you know, I'm a big preacher of that. Understanding the tax laws, making sure that
you have to educate yourself. And I don't even care that accountant's got a CPA. Does he work for you or does he work for the government? There's a question that needs to be asked, because CPAs could just file paperwork, or CPAs could really go ahead and make or break you at the end of the year.
Oh, really? You gotta invest. You gotta have a good CPA, a good tax attorney. You gotta have good people on your team. Same thing what Trump is doing. You gotta have great people around you. And the greatest gift, Mike, that I tell my clients over the years is that once you make all this cash, don't be greedy, don't be cheap. Reinvest some of the money in a great team, because that's the biggest gift that we CEOs can give to ourselves, is to buy our time back. By having a good CPA, a good lawyer, a good tax attorney, a good CMO, CFO, great executive assistants that can now do all those tedious tasks that we don't like to do. That's the greatest ever gift that I can give to somebody, is making sure that after we make all this cash, reinvest back.
I think you could surmise that as one thing is leverage.
Yes, sir.
Leverage technology and leverage people.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, we're going to have to break the show into 2 shows now, because we did the last question and we're still talking, man. But I love it, Mike. I appreciate you, my friend.
I can stay here all day with you, brother.
Hey, Mike, tell me something. The best place that you hang around social media, where can they find you, Mike? Where do you hang out the most, or is your website? What is the best place to?
The website is the best place to go, and that's sandsigns.com. We're located in Yonkers, New York. But as I stated, we're able to consult for anybody around the world that is listening, whether it's a storefront or a branding question. Feel free. I still answer the majority of the emails. They'll come across my desk, whether I delegate them or not. If you mention Carlos's email, Carlos's name, I'll certainly make sure that I answer you and try to help you in any way. And if it's a project, we'll send you a Calendly link. You can get onto my schedule and we could do a Zoom consult like this.
Yeah, no, shout out for our brother Mike, man. I love you guys out there. Some of you guys that always dream about being in New York and Manhattan, get your signs out there. Just reach out to Mike. Mike got the connections. He's the king of New York and same signs. He can do signs around the world, like you mentioned earlier. Highly recommend you guys tagging somebody here right now that maybe is struggling, that maybe made a lot of cash and is a little bit unfulfilled, so that they can, listen to this. Maybe somebody that's struggling with their branding and their marketing, have them re-listen to this podcast episode. Mike and I, we dropped a lot of nuggets here. We're probably going to have to turn in these into 2 shows. We'll see if we can make it into 1. But super excited, man. SamSigns.com, Michael SantoLiquido on social media, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Mike, it's just, you guys, definitely highly recommend. Reach out, continue this journey, follow my brother Mike, and rock and roll. Happy holidays to all of you guys listening to us.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah, my brother.
Merry
thank
Christmas.
You so much, man. Merry Christmas, my friend. And you guys know the drill. Life is all about the mission, never the commission. Let's get out there, my friends, because the days that breaks us are truly the days that makes us. Much love.